Hello. I have been doing lots of research around the science of reading, structured literacy, balanced literacy, comprehensive literacy, responsive teaching over the last, oh gosh, I've been studying all of this for years. Um, but it feels like right now that's all I'm doing is studying how they all fit together, what's common, what's the same. And so as I've been studying this, I've been really like thinking about the research from Richard Ellington regarding volume reading and thinking about that independent time for our kindergarten and first grade readers, especially like our youngest, our earliest readers. And I've been thinking that maybe we need to have a little bit more control over what is happening during this time. And so I want to talk to you about that. I don't want you to get scared. So I'm not taking away everything and changing all of the things. I'm just saying I think we need to rethink what goes into our kindergarten and first grade students' book baggies. And maybe this is something you are already doing, and I'm just really late to the game. And so if you are, congratulations. So what I've been thinking about is based on this research is we need our youngest readers in more decodable text. So I'm not saying their entire book baggie should be decodable text at all, but I do think that having more decodable text for them to access and practice and employ the strategies that have been teaching them would be really beneficial. Um, I think there's a couple of ways that you can get decodable text in your students' book baggies. One of the things that I think could be extremely valuable is doing interactive writing and shared writing in either as a whole class or in small groups, and then make copies of that book and put that in their book baggies. And that could align with whatever you're studying in phonics that week or that you've studied over a few week period so that students can get repeated practice, which goes along with the conditions of learning for transfer. So they can get repeated practice over and over using those strategies that you've been teaching them and those skills that you've been teaching them. I don't want just like any decodable text. There's some really great decodable texts out there. Mel Duke, and I know that you guys have heard her name from me recently. She recently talked about beyonddecodables.com, and they have lots of decodable texts, free resources on beyonddecodable.com. And I highly recommend going there and checking those out. The Teachers College has some decodable texts that are free as well, that are really beautiful for decodable text that your students could have access to. Many of you also have phonics resources that have decodable text on them. When I think about like, because I know somebody's going to ask me, like, can you quantify that? I don't really like quantifying things, but I would say maybe 40%-ish of their book baggie should have decodable text. Something else that you want to make sure that they have in their book baggie are just right books. So this gets real tricky, friends. I believe books are levels, kids are not levels. That's my belief. I know some people are super strong about leveled libraries and the kids can only go to the level bins in their leveled libraries. I've seen some harm done through that. And I think it just sometimes got just out of control where kids would tell you, like, I'm a level M, I can only read a level M book. I can't read any other books. So I think there are different ways that we can teach students to choose just right books. There's a variety of ways that we can do that. I also think there's some ways that we could have like groupings of books and we go to certain sections of our library or certain groupings without like naming or labeling a level. So I think that it's really important that students have decodable text that they have just right books that they're choosing from. They also need in their book baggies high frequency words that they can practice over and over. I've seen people use like a little ring and then put like flashcards on there that they're practicing reading those over and over. And you know that I am never going to say to get rid of student choice. So I think students can choose just right books out of a span that would work for them, that aligns with their level or where they are as a reader. And then the choice books could be like any book that they want. It could be like any book, some of those books that they want to read during their independent time that maybe are really low for them or too high for them, but maybe I see a lot of kids love graphic novels, and graphic novels are tough, and so maybe they're wanting a graphic novel and they're reading the pictures. But I think when you start thinking about your book baggies, start being really intentional about what's going in there. So decodable texts, some just right books that are in their level range, high frequency words, and then a couple of choice books. And then finally, I think we need to take that independent reading time and we need to make a plan and teach our students how to make a plan of what's happening. So we need them to spend the most amount of time on here, here, and here, right? Because that's what's going to move them as a reader. This is going to help us keep them engaged and excited about reading and loving reading. And hopefully some of this will too. And again, we're talking our K1 readers, but we need to have them spend the bulk of their time in these things, preferably these, few minutes in that, and then they can have a few minutes for choice books. So you need to think about, what does that look like for you or for your students? I've seen young readers like make a stack of books. So they would start with like their decodable books and then their just right books, and then maybe have some time for high frequency and then their choice books. Or you could say, we have 20 minutes of independent reading time while I'm meeting with this guided reading group, or you have 10 minutes of independent reading time and I'm doing a strategy group. And during that time, you're going to be focused on, that might be the time that they get to do their choice books. And then the rest of their independent time is going to be on the other things that are going to help move them along that reading continuum. But I really hope that you found this to be helpful for you. I think we need to get back to taking a little bit more control over what our students are reading in that independent time so that we are sure to help them get that repeated practice that they need over and over to be fluent, accurate readers. I hope you have a great day.